On a previous bonus episode, we mentioned whether or not the Montreal Canadiens should just press the rebuild button and start it all over again. I forget what loss that video came after, but a lot of people were very much in agreement that the Canadiens should start a rebuild. Let's say the Canadiens say, you know what? Let's tear it all down, all the way down to the studs. If you were going to take on a Montreal Canadiens rebuild, where would you start?
I would start by going to get a puck-moving defenseman. This is something the team really needs. They don't have anyone to be able to really fill that role. And that, to me, would be the number one priority if I was the GM.
Yeah, I mean, Marc Bergevin has built this team around Carey Price and Shea Weber. Shea Weber is gone now, even though the Canadiens don't want to really seem to admit it. Still don't have a captain on the team. If I was GM, I'd start by naming Brendan Gallagher my captain. That would be one of the first things I would do. The other thing is, with Carey Price in the situation he's going through right now, once Carey Price is ready to come back, I think you need to sit down with him and say, do you want to stay here? And because he has that no movement clause in his contract. And if you don't want to stay here, where would you be willing to go? Seattle is obviously one of those teams. Seattle didn't take him in the expansion draft, coming off the knee surgery, the contract. Who knows if Seattle knew or had an idea of what Price was going through, because the hockey world's a small community and people talk. But maybe there would be a possibility of moving Price there if the Canadiens were willing to eat half the contract or something like that. But I think they need to move on from the Weber and the Price thing. And I would also say I'm open for business. Like, I'm whoever you're interested in, whether it be Jeff Petrie or whoever it might be, some of these guys, these veteran guys, let me know what you're offering. I think they do need a rebuild. On a bright note for that, though, they're a little bit ahead of the game in a rebuild because they already have Nick Suzuki. They already have Alexander Romanov. They already have Cole Caulfield. So that's three pretty good young players that you can build around moving forward instead of previous build around, which was around Price and Weber. So that's what I would be looking for. I'd be looking basically. I'm naming Brendan Gallagher my captain because he's the heart and soul of this team, and the team feeds off of him. And then from there on, I think I'd say basically everybody else is available, and let me know what you're offering. And this team, this can't go on like this. I don't think Jeff Molson can allow this to go on. I mean, this team shouldn't have made the playoffs the last 2 years. They got in because of the COVID situation. They're obviously not going to make the playoffs this season. They need to shake things up here quite a lot.
And maybe you should let the fan base know, listen, we're going to try a rebuild here. Bring up some kids. Let the kids come up, your potential players for the future. Deal with them. Let them experience, whether good or bad, at least they're going to have a chance at the NHL level to play. And start with your future. And, your future also touches on the scouting staff that's been in place for so long, and looking at some of their picks and decisions that have been made. Maybe you need to change up that group in the scouting department to have a little better ratio of guys that pan out that are going to be NHL players versus not. And there's a number of things you can do, but obviously it's going to depend on who the guy is that's going to make the call, and then be transparent about, okay, we're going to have some big growing pains here. We're going to go with some youth. We're going to go with some speed. There's going to be mistakes that are going to be made by these young players, but the future is them. And, let's go. Let's give them a chance.
Yep. Also to that, with the draft being in Montreal, the Canadiens should, if this is the year they're not going to make the playoffs, they're not going to be a good team, put yourself in the position to get yourself a high impact player in the draft. I understand the lottery will play a role in where the Canadiens will end up in the draft order, but this is the year, the upcoming draft year, that is the year where you pick as high of an impact player as you can get. If it is Shane Wright at number 1 overall, do it. If there's another player you can get in the top 3 or top 5, get that player. Don't think about it where you did with the Jesperi Kotkaniemi move, which I was a guy who said, the Canadiens needed centers, and I was cool with them picking for position. Get the best player available. Get somebody who the franchise will get excited about. They already have young players they can get excited about. That has to happen. You cannot afford to have the draft in your own backyard and have a pick that everyone is going to be like, huh? What? That's a dud? Why'd you get this guy? The guy has to be that guy. Whoever ends up being the GM, whether it's Marc Bergevin or it's somebody else, they can make all these other moves throughout the year where they're selling off assets and building towards a future. If that first draft pick at the NHL draft is very off the board, a lot of questions, even if it's not even a sexy pick, they just end up picking some safe, responsible defenseman, it's going to be seen as a fail. They need to get a puck-moving defenseman. They need to get a skilled forward. They need to get somebody who is able to bring some excitement to the organization, because that's what they've been missing for the last how many years. Yes, they made the final, but Cole Caulfield was a big reason why. Nick Suzuki and all these other pieces. They need guys who this fan base can get excited about. And it starts at the NHL draft. I don't know if there's any other point we want to bring up with regards to what we would do as GM, but if I was general manager, everything is going towards making the upcoming NHL draft as much of a success as we can make it. But there's a reason why I'm sitting in the chair that I'm sitting here.
Rick made a good point. Rick made a good point, though, playing guys. I mean, this season is a write-off already. It's going to become more of a write-off. So you weigh back and you say, is it better for Caulfield and Paling and these guys to play in Laval and may have a chance of winning an AHL championship or getting to the playoffs there? Or is it better just bring them here and let them play and give them the experience in the NHL without the pressure of having to win? Because, to be honest, the more games they lose, the better off it is for the Canadiens at this point, as you mentioned, going into the draft next year.
Exactly.
Well, other franchises have done it. They've told the fan base, hey, listen, growing pains, be ready. It's going to hurt for a bit, but look at them now. Rangers, wow, nice team, nice to watch. Young, quick, a whole different dynamic in their game in the last few years. So there's no easy quick fix. I'm quite sure that everything is kind of on hold with, okay, let's get this guy back in the lineup. Let's get that guy back in the lineup. Get a real good reading once they get everybody healthy. And then, they can do analysis at that point to see how they can repair the problem that they have, which is not easy, but they do have some problems.
Yeah, at this point, I think the Canadiens fans and more importantly, the season ticket holders would love to hear some kind of a message like that from Jeff Molson, as opposed to the deafening silence that's been coming out of his office.
Well, the good thing about people who watch Hockey Inside Out, they could always make their voices heard when they comment on our videos, which you can do so here, and let us know what you would do if you were general manager of the Montreal Canadiens. Pretty sure we're going to see some wild trade proposals in the comments after that. Visit hockeyinsideout.com to watch our full episode. Subscribe to the YouTube page as well, and to the Hockey Inside Out newsletter for all the fun stuff you can get from a newsletter.